We live in a rapidly changing world, with disruptions arising from geopolitical tensions to technological advances. For businesses, change is inevitable and business transformation a necessity if they are to not only survive but thrive. One key lever to how companies can achieve transformation is by retaining and reskilling talent through job redesign.
Talent is rapidly mobile, they can move anywhere and everywhere. We got to continue to think out of the box in terms of how we want to redesign our jobs to make sure that the top talent continues to want to work here. The fact that the entire economy is transforming, it behooves all companies to think about how they want to continue to energize their workforce.
And some have already taken action. In this new 4-part series, we meet various Singapore companies in different industries which have all embarked on job redesign in an effort to not only energize their workforce, but to seize new growth opportunities. And today's episode looks at the security sector.
Undergoing this job redesign program has helped me gain more business this year.
We see greater job satisfaction, we see less resignations. We would say it's largely been a success.
We may see them every day, but not really pay them much attention. Yet they play an immensely important role.
Thank you. Have a good day.
The private security industry employs more than 49,000 security officers, so they play a critical role because they support the law enforcement agencies to maintain safety and security in our country. As the Singapore economy continues to grow, the demand for security services across all sides, industrial, commercial, and also residential properties, is set to grow.
I think the security sector is actually quite an exciting, interesting, but also a very challenging sector. People think of the security sector as patrolling, and it's a lot more tedious and strenuous for particularly a more mature worker to undergo the same level of patrolling. But security goes beyond just patrolling. It goes into cybersecurity now. You need to think about threat assessment, people hacking into your system. We could actually bring younger workers into the industry, at the same time preserving the experience of a more mature workforce within the industry itself. There's a lot more scope for it to grow.
But how will the labor-intensive industry, which is already competing with others for manpower, attract the fresh talent it needs?
The security industry has to transform, and job redesign can play a big part in transformation efforts. Job redesign aims to create higher value jobs that are more fulfilling for employees so that they can contribute more effectively and improve their productivity. Businesses can streamline their work processes, optimize their workforce to better harness new business models and technology. And this enables them to become more agile in responding to market changes and, of course, improve customer satisfaction.
Hey guys.
JASA Investigation and Security Services, which was established in 1991, is one security company that has embarked on job redesign. It employs more than 400 staff who provide security services to commercial, residential, school, and government buildings across the island. In 2022, Chief Operating Officer Brahmjot Singh took steps to enhance the job scope of security officers in order to optimize his aging workforce.
The average age of a security officer in Singapore is about 54 years old. A large part of their job scope involves physical patrolling and looking for defects, anomalies. We have long working hours, anywhere between 8 to 12 hours per day. So when a security officer is of an older age, they tend to tire out. For that reason, we see there's a higher turnover rate over time.
And it was difficult to find new talent to replace those leaving.
In the security industry, it's a scramble between all agencies to find security manpower. We see rising manpower costs within our industry. So as we ultimately redesign how a security officer's job is viewed, a security officer now will do more so than just mundane physical clocking, patrolling services. We have to complement this large shortage of manpower with technological solutions as well as emphasis on training. It allows us to reallocate this manpower pool where their skills may be better used. It elevates the level of business and the level of service we can provide to our client. And it's a win-win situation for our client, for JASA, as well as the security industry as a whole.
And what was part of the tech solutions that allowed JASA to achieve that win-win? A robot! But while the new recruit was a great contribution to the team, its teammates had to learn to welcome it and work with it. The security sector can be manpower intensive, and retaining talent and hiring new ones can be challenging.
So today we're going to speak about Kabam robots and how we're going to deploy them.
To solve such manpower problems, JASA Investigation and Security Services embarked on Job Redesign to enhance the job scope of its staff by investing in a suite of technological solutions.
Integration of technological services within our scope of service enables JASA to provide greater solutions to a client's security requirements. So not just do we have robots, but we also see the need to have a wide variety of technology solutions to complement physical security guarding. We're also able to reallocate security manpower resources to some of our other sites. And that frees up resources for us to take on a greater pool of clients as well. Ultimately, the strategy behind Job Redesign for JASA was to make us more competitive within the market, to potentially grow our business further.
For 5 minutes?
Hi, Sam. Yeah, please.
But the job redesign process was not without challenges for Brahm and Sampath, who heads JASA's Human Resources and Training Department.
Change is never completely comfortable. We did face certain resistance. There were certain grievances, disruption to their day-to-day routine of what they generally do.
Please do not park here.
The officers saw the implementation of the technology as a culture shock. When we brought in the machine, they thought that this is going to be an additional job scope for them. So they said that now I have to take care of the robot.
Then there were staff like Ellen Pereira who had other concerns.
Roger that. The initial reaction from myself and from the officers were a bit like we were afraid that technology might replace us. So we were initially very skeptical when everybody talks about IT, robots,
To overcome the resistance, JASA took great pains to win over the security officers.
We started with our senior security supervisors, our supervisors, and our key personnel. Discussing with them, letting them know what was in it for them and how it would reduce their physical workload, as well as allow them to learn greater skills and basically provide a greater level of service and greater job satisfaction. We ultimately were able to convince them, and we had a good team on board.
Sampath, who was overseeing the entire job redesign process, prepared a training plan and got the technology vendor to develop the curriculum and train 5 JASA staff. The 5 then went on to train their colleagues.
Likewise, same thing, inspect the dock station for any breakage or loose screws. Because sometimes, now we have trained about 7 of them at the site who have undergone 3 days of classroom training and the 176 hours of on-the-job training. And we are also waiting for another 17 more to be trained when the second robot is going to be delivered at another site. Our focus was to ensure that we give them the confidence how to handle the robots. We told them that the robot is going to be taking part of your job scope. It's not to replace you, so instead of you, the robot would be there to attend to the incident. You only go back to the site if there's a need for you to go.
While JASA aimed to optimize its existing manpower resources through job redesign, Henderson Security Services wanted to attract more talent by redefining and enhancing the role of its security officers.
Currently, we have 750 employees. Most of them are full-time. Typically, in the security industry, the turnover rate is quite high. The job of the security officer generally is quite a lot of manual work and doesn't really add much value or growth to the officer as well. So generally, this is not very attractive to people.
Like JASA, Henderson decided to embark on job redesign for their security officers.
So we decided to take part in job redesign because we wanted to make the job more meaningful so that we can start to attract a new group of officers to the industry. We also hope to differentiate ourselves from competitors and be able to provide more interesting and more meaningful service to our customers as well.
Hey, hi Daniel, how are you?
Nice to see you.
To kickstart Henderson's job redesign journey, Managing Director Daniel Mark Chow turned to global consulting firm Mercer for help.
Some things that you have in mind and what areas you'd like to focus on.
We had an idea of what we wanted to do already. So for example, we thought that we could have an increased customer service element to our security officers, more like an ambassador role. What we really wanted Mercer to do was to find out whether or not the role was required on the ground, firstly. Secondly, whether our staff would undertake such a role, and also other details like whether they were happy with the current work situation, whether they were happy with the work processes or anything else that could be improved.
And so, over a 4-month period, the Mercer team conducted in-depth interviews with all levels of staff, from senior management to officers on the ground, spent hours observing security officers doing their job, analyzed the information gathered, and proposed potential solutions.
Okay, so what we found was that there were a lot of manual tasks which could be digitalized and automated. We also found that they could better redeploy their security officers based on their skills and capabilities. We proposed that based on the different skills and capabilities of the security officers, it could be expanded to 3 different alternative career pathways. The first one being they could specialize in security. The second one would be they could focus more on customer relationships. And the third would be a more multi-skilled role where they could be deployed based on more on an ad hoc basis and where manpower is needed. We were able to optimize workflows by being able to redeploy the ground staff to more value-adding tasks.
The whole exercise with Mercer allowed Henderson's management team to gain many new insights that they were not expecting.
Before we got into this project, we thought that officers wanted a bit more break time and a bit more rest. On the other hand, the Mercer consultants found out that the officers prefer to engage in more meaningful work and more higher value work. So that was one point that was quite interesting to note. It gave us confidence to know that we were on the right track. This particular site that we had earmarked for the consulting project was in a mall setting, so that customer service element was really, really important. And the findings allowed us to go into further detail as to what to do for the new ambassador role that we wanted. Mercer also suggested the use of systems and different technology to help automate certain manual processes. We had a good conversation about this, and we ended up deciding that maybe using something like a virtual guard tour, which we make use of the current CCTV feeds at the site to perform automated guard tours.
But turning security officers into tech-savvy security ambassadors took time and effort.
There's always a bit of fear from the officers whether or not they are able to undertake these new roles or operate new systems. Our supervisor played a very big role in getting the buy-in from the rest of the team. They form a strong rapport with the team, so thankfully for us, the supervisors at the site understood the trends of the industry and they understood generally how things are moving, and they were more than happy to take on and learn more.
How you interact with
Henderson's in-house trainers rolled out a plan to teach the security officers customer service and communication skills, as well as how to use the virtual guard system.
Most of this training is done on site, where The trainer sees what's being done in reality, and on the spot, they would be able to give them feedback and make changes if necessary. So it's very much a collaborative training. The supervisors and the senior officers will be taught how to use the system, and in time they will also translate that knowledge to the rest of the team.
Job Redesign has taken off at Henderson and JASA. What has the impact of the whole process been on both companies and their staff? Are they already seeing the benefits? At Henderson Security Services, Job Redesign has transformed the security officers' roles. 32-year-old Shankaran Jayasilan is a 10-year veteran in the security industry. The senior security supervisor at Henderson heads a team based at a mall. And they were among the first batch of officers in the company to undergo the job redesign process.
Come in.
Before the job redesign in 2022, every day, once we take over duty from the other shift, we will start routine patrols, clocking to the guard tour duty, which is taking the device and checking all the points, any incidents or what we have to be there attending, then preparing the incident reports. Most of the reports were all done by hand. The problem with writing last time was some of us don't understand each other's handwriting. Okay, so this is our new QR code system from the previous traditional clocking device. Thing and scan like this. So our clocking now is actually much more easier because we can use our own handphone to scan the QR code, and we don't have to carry additional devices to walk around the mall. At the same time, we can also report any defects or incidents with our phone itself rather than having a physical paper and writing it, and we could respond to incidents faster with all this implemented. Now that we have all this virtual guard tours system in place, so we don't really have to go to certain areas. We can just monitor it from our command center, so we can be more focused on the important areas and to be in the mall to ensure that the shoppers get the required help from us. Keep to your left side.
Since the role of the security officer was elevated to security ambassador, he has noticed positive changes in his team.
So our officers' mindset last time was just enforcing and being fierce to the public. With the ambassadorship, they actually know how to interact better with the shoppers and among ourselves also. So they know how to be more tactful.
And then I go there, how can I help you? Why are you looking at me like that? Right? Yeah.
And it's not just the staff gaining from job redesign. The company is also reaping benefits.
We provide security services to office buildings, schools, and the challenges in each vertical are very different. So by undergoing this job redesign program, we come to realize that actually we can be more refined in the job scope and place the right people for their job, and also more accurately compensate staff for the work that they're actually doing on site. Now with all these new initiatives, they are more empowered to do more. From a company perspective, because we now look at skill sets required and difficulties of sites, Henderson is also able to price our contracts more accurately, and that in turn I think has helped me gain a bit more business this year.
I just recap what we have mentioned.
JASA Investigation and Security Services has also gained from job redesign, integrating technology into the work of its security officers. Chief Security Officer Alan Pereira and his team at the Singapore Chinese Cultural Centre have benefited from the deployment of the patrol robots.
Before JR, manpower were being stretched. We have to always be at the drop-off point to stop illegal parking.
Please do not park here.
Those areas where people smoke,
Smoking is prohibited.
our officers will have to spend more time there and advise them. We always have to keep monitoring CCTV to assist the officer on the ground. SC to Kanish, confirm location. Roger that. Moreover, weekly we have many events, a lot of VIPs, minister visits, We have to redeploy officers to manage the crowd control. The job scope is very strenuous, but when we have the robot in, we only monitor when there's prompt.
Please proceed to drop-off point. There is an illegal parking there.
Roger, proceeding to drop-off point now. Basically, I have a personal assistant, who I can rely on, who will not get tired, and the information the robot gives aids our security team, so we can better assess the scenario when the officer is approaching the incident site. Ever since we deployed the robot, we observed that there is a drop in the illegal smoking, illegal parking, and now we have more time to interact with the members of the public. We have a permanent exhibition at level 2.
With Job Redesign, we see greater job satisfaction. Our security officers now feel a greater purpose of what they're doing. We see less resignations, and that in turn generally helps JASA with our manpower situation. By complementing the workforce with technology solutions like a robot, what we see is that the cost as a whole is reduced. So Job Redesign is something that we see has worked very successfully for us.
And companies wanting to embark on their job redesign journey, like JASA and Henderson, have help available. Workforce Singapore, in collaboration with the Institute of Human Resource Professionals, have launched the Job Redesign Centre of Excellence. This one-stop centre will provide resources to all enterprises to help accelerate their transformation. Next week, find out how companies in the marine and offshore energy sector are evolving job roles to not only attract new talent, but to boost their push for sustainability.